We got some good news on the injury front. We got some bad news on the injury front. We spoke to Bobby Slowick today, and we also heard from the man a few words who tried to say some words. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize. Every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to give. We got.
All right, we got some news today. We had some breaking news actually after practice. We kind of suspected this was the case just based on the vibe, but Brevin Jordan going to be out for the season. Will Kunkel, Fox 26, had that first. Aaron Wilson says it's torn ACL. So Will had it first. Aaron gave the details on the actual injury itself. So props to both of those guys for doing the Lord's work and figuring out what we kind of suspected once we figured out it was a knee. Brevin Jordan out for the season. Shout out to Will Kunkel for being first on that. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can see me here throughout the week, nightly. You can see me during practice with the practice updates, and you can see me Monday through Friday on SNL, which, by the way, tomorrow going to be at 4 o'clock. Used to doing it at 9 o'clock, 4 o'clock, so we get the final injury report. We'll have a grasp of what is ahead for the Texans. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along for the best Texans coverage you can possibly get. Shout out to everyone for pulling up here. This is a weird game. This Texans game. This is a really, really weird game for the Texans because on one hand, you're 2-0. You're the second team in NFL history to be 2-0 while the rest of your division is 0-2. You feel good about the squad, but you don't feel great. And I heard someone today, and this was I forget the guy's name, but the betting dude at ESPN who they put at the end of the table sometimes. I actually like him. Just don't really know his name. But he was talking about the Texans, and he said something like, this team could easily be 0-2. And I heard that, and I was like, damn, you know what? I know that there's probably some people that might, take that personal. But he's right. This Texans team, we think is a good team, and we look at it as this team is just finds ways to win, and they can win ugly. We weren't really necessarily saying that in 2018 when the Texans went 11-5 before they ended up getting spanked around by the Colts. But I do think that's a really, really good point from this guy. He also said that if he were betting, he would take the Minnesota Vikings money line, which I'm not quite there yet. And the reason that I'm not there, I was putting together my 3 keys for the game, and I don't call them 3 keys. I call them 3 fobs because nobody uses keys anymore. So I don't know, people keep saying keys. No one has keys. You don't go into work and use a key. Most people don't a lot of people don't start their car with a key. It's a fob. So the 3 fobs, I was thinking about it, and Sam Darnold is still Sam Darnold the last time I checked. But despite that, people are really high on the Minnesota Vikings. And you heard me almost say Indianapolis Colts because I started thinking about this squad, this Minnesota Vikings squad that's 2-0, and I started thinking, okay, they kind of remind me with different strengths in different areas. They kind of remind me of the Indianapolis Colts of last year, where you have a guy who in most situations would be a backup quarterback, although Gardner Minshew's starting again. But in a perfect world, he's your backup. You have a very well-respected offensive mastermind who's done it at the highest level in Kevin O'Connell. And you hear C.J. Stroud talk about Kevin O'Connell. He has a lot of admiration for Kevin O'Connell. And they're playing pretty good. They're playing pretty good, and they're getting the most of that quarterback. So last year, the Indianapolis Colts were a drop pass away from potentially winning the division. They were a drop pass away from potentially getting to the playoffs. This Vikings squad kind of reminds me of the Indianapolis Colts of last year in different ways. So I do look at this game as, okay, is this going to be the same old Texans where they find a way to lose this game? And I think that's the way that the mind is kind of trained at times when you watch the Texans is, yeah, they're going to lose. They're going to lose games that they shouldn't. But maybe they've just found ways to win games that they shouldn't, and win games where they're this close to actually losing games, like that dude at ESPN brought. Dude, I got to get his name. I feel like a jackass. I really do like the guy though. ESPN betting guy. Let's see. What's my man's name? Let me make sure this is him. Yes, Joe Fortenbaugh. Okay, this guy right here. I'll show his picture. Yeah, Joe Fortenbaugh, this guy. I think he's a really good good betting guy. I like the way that he breaks it down. I don't know how well he does, but he does a good job breaking it down. He does a good job of explaining trends. So shout out to Joe Fortenbaugh. I respect your game, my friend. Even though you were one of those guys who's probably thinks the Texans are gonna lose this game, and you know, I can't really fault you for that. One of the big matchups we're going to see, and we'll get to the injury report from practice in a second. One of the big matchups that we anticipate seeing is a matchup of LSU teammates, Justin Jefferson and Derek Stingley. A lot of times it feels like media types assume that all the guys that played in college together are like best friends. Derek Stingley kind of stays to himself. He's got that LSU pride, but he kind of stays to himself. There was an attempt to kind of gas up the Jefferson versus Stingley matchup. Stingley really wasn't having it. And quite frankly, Stingley is not really a man of many words, which you'll see in a second. This was the media availability of Derek Stingley. And I like Derek Stingley's nature. I think he's getting way better with the media. I think he's doing a good job. But this was Derek Stingley media scrum talking about Jefferson and a lot of other things heading into this matchup.
I mean, I'm just going out there and just, playing defense. I mean, I'm not really thinking about college or anything like that. Just going out there trying to win.
What do you see from him as a receiver? Just his skills, the way he punches the ball?
I mean, he one of the best in the league. You know how to get open, so that's how to minimize it.
How much do you like that level of challenge, knowing that you get to match up against one of the guys who is absolutely elite, and your coaches are saying that you kind of welcome that challenge?
I mean, I feel like anybody on defense always looking for a challenge, whether it's any kind of matchup or something that they got going on themselves. So, I mean, look forward to it.
I know it's not kind of obviously issues. How is this guy your relationship in general?
I mean, I don't really talk to him. He's much older.
He's 2 years older.
LSU is LSU. We always keep in touch a little bit, but not too much.
In that program, how is he regarded? Just a lot of great players that come out
from LSU. I mean, he making plays every week, so they obviously look at him, Jamar, all the receivers that come out. Like, we got a couple rookies that's in the league now. Like, they look at them the same way. So, I mean, if you make plays, they gonna put you on the touch.
When they ask you to follow a guy like David more, what do you take as a compliment to your skills or capability?
I mean, I just look forward to it. I just go out there and have fun.
With the defensive line wreaking havoc the way it is, especially last week, how much does that help you personally and then the rest of the secondary make it after the quarterback?
I mean, they rush up the quarterback. We don't have to cover that long. And if we do have to, give them more time to get to the quarterback. Just work hand in hand.
Couple more. Did you Arnold his season so far? The Texans in the best football he's played.
Yeah.
What's different? What's different with Sam that's allowed him the success this year?
I mean, I feel like mean, I don't really know him, but I don't know him at all actually. But I mean, it just looked like he's confident out there playing. So just try to knock him up a little bit. Just go out there and play ball.
All right, there you go. It's Derek Stingley, man. A few words. Not really a guy who says a lot, but he says a lot on the field. He doesn't say it vocally. He's just about that action. And they're lucky to have him. They're lucky to have Kamari Lassiter. So practice report today. We just heard the news about Brevin Jordan. There was some, and if you listen to me, and most of you do, I said last week when Dalton Schultz was on the injury report, I said, okay, this guy does not look like a guy that you can completely dismiss from playing on Sunday. And sure enough, we saw Dalton on the field on practice on Friday, and then we saw him on the field on Sunday. Yesterday with Scruggs and Patterson, I said, hey, these guys are on the side. They're working. They got the tracker on. Would not dismiss them. Both of those guys returned to the field today, and I would probably bet that Juice Scruggs plays on Sunday. I think both of these guys will be active, but I would probably bet on Juice Scruggs. Now, would it be a good bet? Who knows? That we don't see all of practice. We go in for a certain portion. Juice Scruggs, he was there. Doesn't seem to be limping or anything. I think Juice might try to give it a go on Sunday. I think at least one of the two will be out there. But you had your two centers back on the field. So that's good news when it comes to the centers. Running backs, bad news. Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce, they are still out. They are still not practicing. We'll see tomorrow. I have seen no signs of Dameon Pierce. We saw what happened with Joe Mixon, how ticked off he was. He strikes me as one of those guys who you might have to, if you're the coaching staff, protect him from himself, because I think he's that much of a dog. He's just a dog, as Laramie Tunsil would say.
I'm a dog.
And I think he's going to try to play no matter what, but they might protect him from himself. Dameon Pierce, I don't know. Do you want Dameon Pierce to play? Like, is Dameon Pierce, how important is it to have Dameon Pierce? JJ Taylor has been the one working with the running backs, at least during open media. It's been JJ Taylor. British Brooks works briefly, and then British Brooks goes and does fullback and tight end things. And I also anticipate another tight end being active, whether it's Irv Smith or 84. I anticipate another tight end potentially being active as well. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. But the running back, like, is it really that crucial to have? I said last, like, the way that I describe Dameon Pierce is he's not a gutted out guy. There's some guys that you would like to, like, if Juice Scruggs wants to gut it out. If Will Anderson comes up to you at the end of last season and wants to gut it out, let him gut it out. Joe Mixon, if push comes to shove, he needs to gut it out, go gut it out. What are you accomplishing by having Dameon Pierce go gut it out? I don't think he's in gut it out territory right now. You want the more healthy guy. I don't know what JJ Taylor can do. I thought Frank Ross slipped his name today. He may have been talking about someone. He may have been talking about the punter from the Bears. I don't know. I just heard the name Taylor. Maybe I just have like this JJ Taylor name in the back of my mind. But I heard Frank Ross talking about that. By the way, Frank Ross also said that the Minnesota Vikings have the fastest, most aggressive special teams that he's ever seen in his 4 years coaching the Texans, which is a hell of a lot to say. That's what Frank Ross said. Nico Collins, he was, quote, back. I never considered him out of practice. He was very involved. He was out there. It was not like he was on the side. So I think they're going to rest Nico up. But yesterday they had him as whatever, limited or out. He was right there. There was never a doubt about Nico Collins unless something shocking happens. So he was technically back, but I mean, he was very involved yesterday. So that's really the injuries to take a look at. Chris Boyd was out there. Kind of looks like he's kind of battling a little bit. He's very important on special teams. Probably got to stop the penalties. But Boyd was out there, looked like he was trying to battle, and this is his former squad. So I anticipate that he really, really, really wants to play, as does Daniil Hunter. He's going against his former squad. So that's where we're at with all of that. Bobby Slowick, he met with the media today, and again, I want to rehash that the Minnesota Vikings kind of in a strange way remind me of the Indianapolis Colts from last year. Really good coach, backup quarterback playing well, and a pretty well coached squad. The Vikings defense is probably a little bit better. There's talks that maybe they could end up being like a top 5 defense. Brian Flores, I don't think I've ever seen a coordinator get this much love. Kind of interesting. And he does a good job, but there's a lot there. Bobby Slowick. Is Bobby Slowick, do you trust Bobby Slowick at this point? Did Bobby Slowick skip the growing pains last year? And are we still looking at a young play caller who is inevitably going to go through struggles that most young coaches go through? We really haven't seen it. Is it because CJ Stroud saves all butts? Is CJ Stroud kind of like a masking agent for bad pass blocking and poor play calling? Some people seem to think that. I don't necessarily think that, but I do think Bobby Slowick is still a relatively young offensive coordinator, and I do think there will be some growing pains. Some say that his inability to adjust in game is not proportional to his ability to prepare. Brandon Scott gave the analogy that he's a guy that's a really good actor when there's a script, but when there's an improv going on, he's not as good at improv. I thought that was a badass analogy by B. Scott, and I thought it was so badass that I decided to ask Bobby Slowick about that, because that's the thing about this show. When you come through here, I'm taking what I say, I'm building the talking points, and I'm building them around what the team is saying, what the players are saying. And when I say something, I will then go ask the coach or the player so that I bring it to you. And that's what you get when you come into the locker room or Cody Stooch's channel, or you listen to our daily collaborations. That's kind of what separates us two on the digital beat from others. So that's what we try to bring you along with the practice report. So I asked Bobby Slowick this topic that emerged on Tuesday. I asked him 2 days later what it is like for him and what is the balance between preparation versus adjustments. Here's what your offensive coordinator had to say.
You want to have a plan, but then when something happens, whether it's what the defense is doing or what you can't do or someone getting hurt, what is the balance between planning versus adjusting?
Yeah, they both happen every game. You go into every game with a plan of what they're going to do and how you want to attack it. And a lot of times, obviously, they know that. And early in the game, particularly in the first quarter, you kind of go back and forth on trying to get the right look for us. They're trying to get the right look for them. And then it kind of settles down. And I mean, every game, once you start getting through, particularly the second quarter, and both sides kind of see different things each other are doing, like you're going to adjust, and that happens all the time. Now some of the adjustments may be big. They may be things that you have to sit down, you have to talk through, and you got to wait till halftime to get that done. Some of the adjustments can be really quick. Like, hey, instead of this, we're going to do this, or, hey, let's make sure we point this, or, I mean, there's a lot that can go into the adjustments, but it's a constant process of really having both.
Okay. And that's a decent answer. I mean, he's not going to come out there and say, it's really hard for me to adjust, but I think that's well laid out by Bobby Slowick. In the chat, Jim asks, will we really notice Brevin Jordan being out? Look, I don't think Brevin Jordan being out, and I mean, no disrespect, I like the guy. I always like talking to him. I don't think it's like the end of the world. I do think that they like him a lot, and he does add an element that they don't possess. Now, do they use that element a lot? Is it like do they go into each week saying, man, we really got to maximize Brevin Jordan's unique speed and ability to run with the ball this week? I think it's way down the list of things that they try to do on offense. I think it's way down the list. I think you probably got to go like 10 things before you start saying, okay, we really got to maximize what Brevin Jordan does and get him the rock. Now, the run blocking, and I don't pretend to have watched Brevin Jordan from 4 different angles and all the plays that he ran. So I'm not like crunching tape on Brevin Jordan. They insist that he's gotten better in the run game. Now, are they saying that he's really good for a tight end? Or are they saying he's gotten better from what he was? Because there was a time when Brevin Jordan wasn't even – there were times early in his career, and he'll tell you this, he wasn't in shape and he wasn't as physical as he is right now. There were times where he wasn't playable when it came to blocking. So when they're praising him, are they just comparing him to what he used to be? Or are they comparing him to like what another tight end would look like? I think we'll get a look at it and we'll see what it looks like. I don't think too many people are going to complain about seeing more Cade Stover. I don't think there's going to be too many complaints about seeing Dalton Schultz. There's not going to be as many tight end screens, I would anticipate. I don't think you want to see Dalton Schultz in the open field running. Sometimes it looks like he's wearing flip-flops when he runs, or the new Nike Air Cements. But, yeah, I don't know how big of a deal, Brett. I mean, I don't think it's like the end of the world. But you'd rather have him than not have him. John, he's in that crew. We'll lose this game because Bobby Slowick will waste all the plays for trying to force the run. This is a narrative that's kind of emerged. I saw that Mina Kimes said this on ESPN, and then it kind of got aggregated, and people started kind of piling on. There were times early last year where maybe they were trying to force the run. I also think they were kind of trying to force Dameon Pierce being a good running back last year, and that just didn't really seem to be something that was going to happen. But there have been 2 games this season, okay? The Chicago game wasn't pretty. They were unable to run the ball. They ran the ball on first down. How many times Mina Kimes laid it out? But against Indianapolis, and I know that Indianapolis is very bad against the run this season, they were averaging like damn near 8 yards per carry on first down, and they had a touchdown as well. So, and they ran less than they passed. So I don't know that that's a real thing right now, but we'll see. I don't know that they're going to try to force the run without Joe Mixon. I could actually see them not running the ball at all. So I don't know if that's a thing or not. I saw Mina Kimes said it. With ESPN, sometimes you just ask for these stats, you get these stats, and then you're not actually like locked in and getting context there. But I thought against the Colts, he did a fine job. So I don't think that's a consistent thing. Like Chicago, sure. I mean, I don't look back at Chicago and say, man, the play calling was really bad. I think the pass blocking was bad. I think you're probably a little bit hesitant to, and Orlovsky was breaking this down today on NFL Live. You're probably a little bit hesitant to pass as much when the pass blocking is bad. And CJ Stroud had to bail that out a couple times. So, like this narrative that Bobby Slowick runs too much early, let's just keep an eye on it and see what it is. I also think that we're to the point where whenever a team loses or whenever a team struggles, you have to blame someone. I just don't really see anyone wanting to blame anyone other than the offensive coordinator. It's an easy person to blame. So we'll take a look at that and see how it goes. Jim asks, what was the good news? The good news is both centers practice, my friend. And after not practicing yesterday, both centers practice. That's the good news. Mixon and Pierce were out. You can rewind and check that out. Anytime that you come in here, you just rewind and check that out. X-Sinister says, I'm just thankful we don't have to hear Chris Collinsworth again until November. I like Collinsworth, man. I like Collinsworth and I like Tirico. I think Amazon Prime games absolutely suck. Amazon Prime having football games on is like the one time that McDonald's tried to do spaghetti. Like, you're really, really good at things like Elite, the best. You're on every corner. You're available. You're convenient. You're one of the most convenient brands and most powerful brands in all of America. And all of a sudden you're trying to serve spaghetti. That's what Amazon trying to do football is. It's trash. It's slow. It skips. Al Michaels is falling asleep. Kirk Herbstreit's a college football guy. I don't care how much they try to do it. That's just kind of kind of strange. He's like the voice of college football. Amazon, I think Amazon games suck. I would take Collinsworth calling every single game over 2 or 3 Amazon games. I'm not as down on Collinsworth at all. Not even a little bit. So I just don't like it at all. It's awful. It's actually it's probably the worst. I don't think Netflix is going to be too bad. I think Netflix will be fine. I think they'll be able to handle it. They're kind of stepping their game up, and that's their area. Like, do you want Netflix to, like, if let's put it this way. Let me just ask you this question, and you got me on this tangent. It's kind of a slow-ish news day. Tomorrow we'll get the full breakdown of everything going on. Let me ask you this: if an announcement came out tomorrow, let's say you wake up, you turn on your computer, you're sipping your coffee. You go to your computer, you see all these stupid ass news things that you don't even want to look at because for some reason they're putting them on your desktop. I don't know why they do that. But amidst all those news things, you see an announcement that Netflix is going to start a delivery service. Do you want that delivery service? Like, do you trust Amazon? Why in the hell do I need, with all the TV products that the NFL has and how good the NFL TV products are, why the hell do I need Amazon NFL? It is the most pointless thing in the world, and it sucks. I hope they get out of this business soon. I don't think they're going to. But, man, it sucks. Those games are terrible, awful. Netflix, you're getting the NFL good. You're an entertainment platform. You're a platform where you watch stuff. Thank you. Y'all can figure it out. Fights, comedy specials, all that. Amazon. If I want to get me a brand new bucket hat and have it here tomorrow by noon, then Amazon can handle that. I don't need this bullcrap football product that they're putting out there. It's absolute garbage. It's terrible. It is terrible to the point where I watch every NFL game. I almost don't even want to watch it. It's trash. Stay in your lane, man. Shout out to LeVar Ball. I think he's still with us. Yeah, he's not dead. Big Baller Brand might have died, but LeVar Ball is still alive. Stay in your lane, man. Remember when LeVar Ball told that lady, stay in your lane? That's what I want to tell Amazon every time I turn on the TV and I see that football game on. It's a joke. Terrible. Yeah, if you want to do a full show, a few shows, that's fine. They have some sneaky movies that you've never seen in there. That's fine. But get Amazon out of the football business. It's a joke. It's embarrassing. Cut it out. Stop it. Don't want to see it. Terrible. Al Michaels, go to California. Do whatever the hell you do out there. Go call TMZ and do interviews on TMZ. It's awful. Terrible. Other Texans news. Really not a lot to report. Tomorrow's practice report will tell a lot. What we'll be looking for, I anticipate that the 2 centers will be out there. There'll be game time decisions. Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce. That's really going to be what we're looking at to see where those guys are and if they're going to be good to go. Fatukasi, by the way, also back on the practice field. So what started out as kind of like a panic when we saw the initial practice report, it's kind of smoothed over. Really, like, you're only worried about one position now, and it's the running back position. And what does that mean for Bobby Slowick? Does that mean that they depend more on CJ Stroud? Who the hell knows? We'll check it out. You say Big Steve says watching the Jets made it worse. Why? Here's the other thing, and I'm going to get out of here early today because I gotta go do TV. I'm going to be on KPRC this week, and I got to go record. I'm going to be with Wade Smith and Randy McIlvoy and Travis Johnson. So I'll let y'all know when that drops. From there, I'm going to go to practice, then the open locker room, and then at 4:00, the SNL with Cody Stutes. So we got a stacked day of content. I'm not going to try to force out 30 minutes more of something that you don't want to hear about. But here's the other thing. Why were Herb Street and Michaels acting like the Jets are good? What was that? Is it a rule that you have to act like the Jets are good when they're out there just looking competent? Like the way that they were talking about the Jets, you would have almost thought that was like some sort of like threat in the AFC or something like that. Dude, they're playing the Patriots. Jacoby Brissett's their starting quarterback. Yeah, I know they beat the Bengals week 1, and that was nice. The Bengals are 0-2 right now. They're in a weird spot. But man, they were talking about the Jets like they're actually good or something. I was lost on that. I don't know. But did y'all notice that? And I'm not even an announcer guy. Like I get annoyed when people are saying, man, Joe Buck hates the Astros. I don't buy into all that. But man, they were treating the Jets like the Jets were the freaking Chiefs or something like that. That was weird. And then the TV was skipping and stuff, and you feel like you have a seizure because Amazon shouldn't be doing football. They should be making deliveries. That's all I got today. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Be sure to subscribe, like, ride along. Practice report tomorrow around noon. So be on the lookout for that on YouTube. I'll be on TV. I'll let y'all know when that's going to drop. And then 4 o'clock, not 9 o'clock for SNL. SNL is at 4 o'clock on Friday so that we can react to the injury report. We won't have any questions. We'll know. We won't know if guys are going to be in for certain, but we will know the guys that will be out. So we'll take a close look at that. We'll also get ready, and we won't be watching any Amazon football games. Thank God for that. And thank God for the weekend. Subscribe, like, ride along. Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, whether we're watching on Amazon, whether we're watching on what the hell else ever, we're all in it together. Appreciate you for coming through.
Opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.